regular city council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Beagle,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Here.
Councilmember Behrman,
Here.
Councilmember Gotcho,
Here.
Councilmember Grenlin Fox,
Here.
Councilmember Sharp,
Here.
Councilmember Smiley.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. All right, do we have any changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight?
Yes, Mayor, I do have a change. Item number 8 under new business regarding execution of a professional services agreement. We'd like to have that pulled from the agenda. We'd like to do a little bit more work on the document and have some additional discussions with the Downtown Development Authority, who was on board with having this pulled from the agenda as well.
Very good. Anything to dais? All right. Next up is the public hearing. We have a public hearing associated with the sale of property known as 3073 and 3084 Partridge in accordance with Chapter 3.16, Disposition of Real Property of the Code of Ordinances. I'll read the rules for the public hearing. Persons desiring to address the council shall state their name and address. Individual persons shall be allowed 5 minutes to address the council. There'll be no questioning by the audience of persons addressing the council. However, the council members may question persons addressing the council, and no person shall be allowed to address the council more than once. All right. In accordance with Chapter 3.16, Disposition of Real Property, a public hearing will be held during a regularly scheduled meeting, January 28, 2020 council meeting, regarding the possible sale of city-owned property located at 3073 Partridge, parcel number 17-29-329-003, and 3084 Partridge, parcel number 17-29-326-012. This notice of this public hearing was published in the Spinal Column News Weekly on January 22nd, 2020. Do we have anybody wishing to address the council on this public hearing?
Good evening. I'm Seth Burrell of 3127 Ranch Drive. I'm here regarding these properties that are supposed to be sold for $1,000 each. So far, nothing I've read in public record shows who the buyer is, but I assume they exist or this wouldn't be happening. I'm willing to buy both parcels. They're currently listed for $1,000. I will pay $1,100. That's not my final offer, but should start the conversation. If the current buyer does not wish to pay more or engage in a public auction, I believe the land should be sold to me for $1,100 per parcel. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the council on the public hearing? Okay, we'll have more of that during the new business. So with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and move on to the next item, which would be the presentation. I have recognition of Eagle Scouts Adam Clem and Ryan Qualley. Are they here tonight?
Yes.
All right, step up. We have a couple of proclamations for both of you and what you've done with our city. Ryan, we'll start with you. Whereas Ryan Qualley from 272 will be recognized by the Boy Scouts of America for successfully completing all requirements for Scouting's highest rank of Eagle Scout, and whereas the mayor and city council members of the city of Wixom recognize the faithful and steady path taken to obtaining the risk of Eagle Scout within a Scouting organization, and whereas Scouting for both boys and girls have been an integral part of our community as well as a positive influence for many years, And we note that Boy Scouts of America will be celebrating their 110th anniversary this year in the United States of America. And whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is an honor earned only by a small percentage of youth involved in the organization. And whereas throughout his 12 years as a Boy Scout, Ryan has earned 35 merit badges and did hours of volunteer work, intends to pursue a career in aerospace engineering. And whereas Ryan Quelly constructed 4 bat houses, installed the bat houses at the Gibson House, the Habitat, the DPW, and Gunnar Metello Park for the purposes of controlling the mosquito populations in the park and around the city and helping the ecosystem with city's natural areas. Now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of Wixom hereby recognize and commend Ryan Quelly for his achievement of the rank of Eagle Scout. Congratulations. Eagle Scout Adam Clem from Troop 179 will be recognized by Boy Scouts of America for successfully completing all requirements for Scouting's highest rank. And whereas the Mayor and City Council members of the City of Wixom recognize the faithful and steady path taking obtaining the rank of Eagle Scout within the Scouting organization. And whereas Scouting for both boys and girls have been an integral part of our community as well as a positive influence for many years. And we note that the Boy Scouts of America are celebrating their 110th anniversary this year in the United States of America. And whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is an honor earned by only a small percentage of youth involved in the organization. And whereas throughout his 11 years as a Boy Scout, Adam has earned 22 merit badges and 6 rank patches and did hours of volunteer work. And he intends to pursue a career as an auto technician or mechanical engineer. And Adam Clem chose to install the new pole and brick pavers to replace the worn flagpole and base at Gilbert Willis Park, and installed 2 steel park benches for the viewing of tennis courts at Gilbert Willis Park. Now therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Wixom hereby recognize and commend Adam Clem for his achievement of rank of Eagle Scout. That's always a fun thing to do. Next up is the approval of minutes for the regular City Council meeting of January 14th, 2020. Do I have support?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All right, I've got support by Councilmember Gottschall and seconded by Councilmember Grenlund Fox to approve the regular city minutes of January 14th, 2020. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We've got one letter of correspondence. It's a letter from Peter Sharp of his resignation from the Planning Commission. So you can join us up here. Thank you for that letter. Next up is the first call to the public. Rules for the call to the public is the public shall address the council during call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reasoning for addressing the council. And all comments made by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do I have anybody at the first call of the public?
I'm Stephen Foster. I live at 1489 Pondview Drive, Wixom, Michigan. I am currently the Council Commissioner for the Great Lakes Field Service Council, and I would like to extend my appreciation and thank you to the City of Wixom, the City Council, City Manager, and the DPW staff for continuing to support our Scouts in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well.
Well, we appreciate those, and any chance we get, we'd love to help out. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I'll close the first call to the public. City managers' reports. We've got departmental reports from December 2019. Any questions?
I did have one.
Councilmember Berman?
I guess my question was on the construction development report on the Spring Hill Suites Hotel. Specifically, is that done? And was there supposed to be any screening on the HVA units on the roof of that hotel? It just seems bizarre that they're visible.
I can check into whether there's any screening requirement that hasn't been met, or if that's something that's in abeyance until, giving them a little bit more time on it. I can check into it with our construction development services staff. I don't have the answer though,
Okay,
but I'll get an answer for you.
thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
On the DPW report, Tim, I noticed that there was a number of the major roadway storm drains that were cleaned, where water was collecting there and all. But I noticed some orange cones in a couple around the city recently, probably from failing basins.
Yes.
Is that county road? That's county road responsibility,
Uh,
correct?
It depends where they are. The county road would be Pontiac Trail or Wixom Road. We do
The-
have a couple on Beck Road as well, but we are going to be under construction there this summer, so.
So you have to wait until the,
Yeah, rather than fix it and then, potentially refix it, we were just holding off on those two.
okay.
But that was just for the Beck Road project.
I noticed there was two on Wixom as well with orange cones
On Wixom
there.
Road, we've got work orders for them for the county to repair.
Good. All right, we have to wait until the snow goes away, or ice, or whatever.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Next up is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Support.
I've got a motion by Deputy Mayor Resnick and a second by Councilmember Gaccio to approve the consent agenda items. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We have no unfinished business, so it takes us to new business number one. New business number one is the consideration of the mayoral appointments of Cheryl Tacey and Mark Lotta to the Planning Commission with terms to expire June 30th, 2021 and June 30th, 2020 respectively, and the appointment of Ray Cousineau and Fred Alexander to the Zoning Board of Appeals with terms to expire June 30th, 2021 and June 30th, 2022 respectively. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support?
All right. I see a couple of them out there. If Ms. Tacey and Mr. Lotta and Mr. Alexander could come up to the podium and introduce yourselves to the council and give us a little background on yourselves, please.
Good evening, I'm Cheryl Tacey, coming back to Planning Commission. Served on for 7 years, then took a little bit of time off, and here I am again. Resident in the area for a little over 20 years. Worked with PTA, you name it, I've been there in terms of supporting the kids in the community, so I'm happy to come back in this official capacity.
Hello, I'm Mark Lotta. I've lived in the area for about 20 years. I teach at Sarah Banks Middle School for about the same amount of time, and I'm looking forward to serving the city. So, thank you.
I am Fred Alexander. I live at 1921 New Way Drive in Wixom. I've been a resident of Wixom for a little over 20 years. My wife's been a resident of Wixom for over 40 years. I'm a local real estate agent, so I feel like I have a background in zoning. I'm a graduate at University of Maine, had a public administration degree. So I'm looking forward to serving the zoning board.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to all of you guys helping out and volunteering on your boards too. All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Smiley and a second. Oh, got a question.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Just more so a comment about actually Mr. Cousineau's appointment. And I had spoken with the mayor previously as well, but actually in the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, it says that there can be a member on Planning Commission and zoning, but they can't vote on the same matter between both boards, can't take part in public hearings in both boards. And I feel like you're just taking away an extra perspective at times when that happens. I know it's been past practice to have a liaison of sorts, but it's not official, and actually some of the material we've gotten in the past has said it's not a fantastic idea legally. So I would just hope that maybe down the road we can have an extra person on that board instead of having a liaison, as we've been calling it. Thank you.
All right, maybe we can put another board member on the ZBA and make Ray the alternate. That would work. Okay. Any other questions?
The only thing that I would note is, coming from the ZBA, having Joe Bartz served on the Planning Commission and the ZBA was extremely beneficial for the ZBA standpoint of knowing what the Planning Commission previously did. And I don't believe it ever really became an issue where his not being able to vote on an issue became an issue for the applicant. It was more of a benefit to the applicant and to the committee.
I would just kind of, that's, here we have meeting minutes, and maybe, I'm not sure if you get planning minutes as ZBA, maybe that's a
Maybe
practice that goes into effect to supplement it, I guess. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. We've got a motion by Councilmember Smiley and seconded by Councilmember Granlund Fox to approve the mayoral appointments of Cheryl Tacey and Mark Lotta to the Planning Commission with terms to expire June 30th, 2021 and June 30th, 2020 respectively, and the appointment of Ray Kuzno and Fred Alexander to the Zoning Board of Appeals with terms to expire June 30th, 2021 and June 30th, 2022 respectively. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is new business number 2 is the recommendation to approve the sale of city-owned property, specifically 3084 Partridge, parcel number 96-17-29-326-012, and 3073 Partridge, parcel number 96-17-29-329-003, for the sum of $1,000 each in accordance with Section 3.16.050 of the City Code, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the quick claim deed for each property on behalf of the city. For a motion?
So moved.
Support?
All right. All right. This is a piece of property that is owned by, or 2 parcels that are owned by the city. And how we came up with the price is these are tax, we bought for tax, but we cannot charge more than what we have got into the property, which is why the price of the lots are $1,000 each. Okay, and then on top of that, these both pieces of property are wetlands, and they're probably not suitable for building on these properties, and I believe that the owner wants to use them just to have some type of lake access. And so that's why, you know, as much as we could try to go out and sell it and get that, but we can't do it because we're limited by the state and the county as how much we can charge for this property. Any questions up here?
Is that for both of the pieces of property? I remember the 3084, we were set at 1,000, but
Right.
same for 3073?
3073 was not tax foreclosed, so there is an opportunity for greater sale price on that one. However, that's the less attractive of the lots. It's the one furthest from the lake. It's not the one that's abutting the lake. It's also the wetter property.
There wouldn't be the ability to charge more for 3073?
Correct, but again, it's not, that's not the lakefront property. It's also the wetter of the 2 properties as well. So it's, the value on both properties is pretty limited from the city's perspective, because the first place we have the tax reversion issue on the one property, and the second property is wet, not the one that's lakefront. So these properties have been available for a long period of time and never had any interest from anybody else in the past. And this property owner has a home that abuts 3073. His stated purpose for wanting to acquire the properties is just to maintain his privacy and make sure that nothing else happens with the property. As you see in the letter that was generated and provided with the the documents in this agenda item and also to the would-be purchaser. We put a restriction on the properties that they would not have any structures built on them. And also, it speaks to placing a new true cash value on the properties that would bring in modest revenues for the city, very modest, but would put the properties back on the tax roll and bring in some additional tax revenue for the city. Hopefully that answers the question.
How do we address that there was another individual that would pay more?
And city's prerogative, if you know, with the possibility of somebody else interested in it, we can re-look at the situation and take another look at it. I'm not sure that all the parameters about the property were known or not. That's something that would have to be explored. This is something, by the way, with this purchaser that he's been interested for a period of years. It was something that was getting attention from the city management office at one point, and then circumstances changed and it fell off the to-do list before my time. And since I've been in the position, it still hadn't come back up, and now in the last several months it's come back up. And because of the delay in action the prior time, we thought that we would bring it up for council consideration and allow you to make a decision as to whether you wanted to proceed or not.
Councilmember Gatchel first.
Thank you. I'm in favor of this as it is. I know it's been a conversation since I've at least started up here with this sole individual as well, who is a neighbor. There's many cities that have good neighbor programs, essentially, where neighbors can buy vacant lots. We used to hold this as just city-owned property that we weren't going to do anything with. I like that the restriction was added that there won't be any structures built on the properties. Again, there probably aren't buildable to begin with, but just to clarify that it won't be a flip where a new house is going to go up and somebody's making a profit over what the meager amount we're selling it for. That's not the intent. I think it's good to let a neighbor that has a house right next door essentially buy a property and maintain his privacy. And we've been having the discussion for years and years with them. So I wouldn't be in favor, I guess, of going a different direction since there's very specific intent on both parties' part at this point. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the signed document from September 9th constitutes a purchase agreement.
That is correct. Talked over with the city attorney. We're going to utilize that as the purchase agreement, and it's just a matter of executing the quitclaim deed if we agree to proceed today.
So a PA exists then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That letter is to serve as the purchase agreement.
Councilmember Grenville Fox.
You had indicated that this had been going on for a long time, and was it posted somewhere that it was for sale, or?
I can't speak to what exactly the practice was in the past. I just know that this files on this go back multiple years before I started with the city. I've been with the city nearly 3 years, and it predated me by several years at least.
Okay, so we don't know if it was posted and
I can't say that there was any advertisement of the property or anything, but I mean, given lakefront properties are typically at a premium, I'm sure there's been inquiries about it at the city. People checked into the property, determined the nature of the property, and determined that they didn't want to proceed with it because they could have done the same thing that this individual did and gone ahead and talked to the city about whether we were interested in selling it to them. So the interest hasn't been there is all I would say. It's just been this one individual.
And we do have a signed purchase agreement.
The only thing I'll caution you on the purchase agreement is I make it very clear, we made it very clear in the document that this is not a binding agreement from the city standpoint because I don't have the ability to sell the property without council approval, right? So it's pending council approval. So it's not as if we have any kind of legal exposure to backing out of it. But as Councilman Gatchel mentioned, it's just a longstanding issue. It's been a longstanding discussion between this would-be property owner, the property owner not butting the properties, and his interest in the property, bringing it forward to bring a decision forward and allow us to either proceed or not proceed. But I don't see any legal issue not proceeding because it's worded carefully to say that I don't have the right to commit the city to the sale. But pending your approval of it, we would proceed with that document as the purchase agreement then because you authorized the sale.
And as far as this other resident that wants to buy it, he or she is under the assumption that it's a done deal.
He knows that this public
Pending
hearing is
the-
taking place. He was informed that this public hearing was taking place, and I mentioned that, you know, depending on what comes out of the public hearing, things could change and go in a different direction, so he should be aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Scherr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Brown, the applicant's not here tonight, is that right?
Correct.
He wants to buy it. So I drove out to look at the lots, and I noticed that the house directly next to 3084 is for sale, which I just thought was strange to have all these on top of each other. And I don't feel we're being very transparent on the sale, to have somebody just apply because they happen to know we have lots. And if 3073 is available for more than $1,000, it feels like we should have it out for bids. And perhaps that same person would buy both parcels for more than $2,000 combined. But I do recognize that ideally we'd get it back on the tax rolls and make a little money out of it versus just letting it sit vacant. I don't know what makes it not buildable other than the quitclaim deed saying not buildable, that's it, which somebody might challenge.
It's the nature
in future.
of the fact that the property's wet. There's some wetland entanglements there that would have to be addressed if any kind of development were to take place there.
And it's directly next to the high tension wires and
Right.
over the top too. So not ideal, but it is lakefront.
Right.
Thank you.
City administration has no, no real concern on this, other than it's been a longstanding thing that's been talked about for years, and we just want to bring it to a head and allow this property owner to purchase the additional lots or not, and just give them an answer is all that I'm looking for here.
Yeah, the lot 3084 was was acquired by the city on a tax foreclosure for $1,000. We cannot get no more than $1,000 for that. We can only recoup our cost. Councilmember Gatchell?
Thank you. Regarding the house next door, that's been on the market for over a year, I believe. It's not the same individual we have a purchase agreement with. It's not the owner of that house, so they're not widening their lot. And that one's had difficulty selling because of the wet issues. The house just inside or to the east of the one that is for sale, there was some mention, and they may have torn that house down at some point, but that's also extremely wet. A lot of those are very, very wet properties, and so that they have difficult turning them over. The house that sits on that is for sale isn't a bad house. It's just half of your backyard is a swamp most of the time. So I think just the practicality of building won't exist on that one. Again, with this 3073, who knows engineering wise what you might be able to pull off, but as they've agreed to not build, it's kind of on them at that point. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I got a motion by Councilmember Gatchell and supported by, excuse me, Councilmember Sharp to approve the sale of city-owned property, specifically 3084 Partridge, parcel number 96-17-29-326-012, and 3073 Partridge, parcel number 96-17-29-329-003 for the sum of $1,000 each in accordance with Section 3.16.015 of the City Code, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the quitclaim deed for each property on behalf of the city. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business number 3 is a recommendation to award a bid to VenCon of Plymouth, Michigan for the building demolition, removal, and site restoration of the Munchaw House located at 48755 Pontiac Trail in the amount of $12,285, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All right. Any questions? Councilmember Gatchell?
Thank you. Running into asbestos removal and remediation and whatnot in my line of work from time to time, the bids came in from a little over 12,000 to nearly 39,000. So I'm slightly skeptical, I guess, of what needs to be done, given that there's probably lead-based paint and asbestos. And I know it says they'll correctly do it, but there's no exact specifications given how they're going to be doing that.
We did get quotes. We actually had an environmental study done in 2013 for the asbestos removal, and those quotes came in around 2,100. And we incorporated in the bid that we did for the demolition the asbestos removal. So that is included, and that asbestos report was included in the bids. So they know exactly what it is, and it's not a lot of work. It's basically some back tile, window glazing. It's not a ton of work.
Insulation, like vermiculite insulation at all? Okay.
Doesn't look like the house has any insulation.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anybody else?
When did they indicate that they'd be able to move forward with that?
Quickly. As soon as it's awarded, as a matter of fact, they'd like to do it in the winter.
Cool.
So you probably see them on site within 2-3 weeks. Once we get all the permits and everything wrapped up, but fairly quickly.
Good. Anybody else? All right, I got a motion by Councilmember Gottschall and seconded by Deputy Mayor Resnick to award the bid to Vincon Incorporated of Plymouth, Michigan for the building demolition, removal and site restoration of the Munshaw House located at 48755 Pontiac Trail in the amount of $12,285, and authorized the mayor to assign the agreement on behalf of the city. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business number 4 is a recommendation to issue city council resolutions requesting the issuance of a special liquor license to the city of Wixom for the Wixom Community Center located at 49015 Pontiac Trail for the dates of February 28th, 2020 and December 4th, 2020, and Sibley Square Park located at 48900 Pontiac Trail for the dates of June 25th, 2020 and July 23rd, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Grenlund Fox and supported by Councilmember Smiley to issue a city council resolution requesting the issuance of a special liquor license to the city of Wixom for the Wixom Community Center located at 49015 Pontiac Trail for the dates of February 28th, 2020 and December 4th, 2020, and Sibley Square Park located at 48900 Pontiac Trail for the dates of June 25th, 2020 and July 23rd, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business number 5 is a request for authorization to waive the bid process and purchase a Canon Image ProGraph TM-305 from Applied Imaging of Novi, Michigan at the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network pricing of $3,695 plus the remaining lease buyout on the current machine of $636.01, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract on behalf of the city. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Very good. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Just the deviation from our past practice of leasing these units because of the fact that technology changes and wear and tear. The recommendation here is to do an outright purchase of a by-law lease.
Yeah, and I better jump in on that. Can I I'll
Yep.
jump in on that? So, Deanna actually came to me with a lease, and the last time we made the decision to do purchase or lease on copiers, we had a change in administration, where prior administrations were keen on leasing. This administration's keen on buying if we have the wherewithal to do it, just based on the savings of financing costs and things of that nature. So this decision was to be consistent with the last decision in other departments to go ahead and purchase outright because of the fact that we did have the financial wherewithal to do it. Calculated the cost of financing at just over 20%, 21% or so on this particular item, and just to save that because we have the monies available to us, we're recommending to purchase.
In terms of the useful life left in the device?
Yeah, so the current machine we had was a 5-year lease.
Correct.
We had a 5-year lease on the current machine, and at about into the 4th year area, we've had this issue with the print heads, and they're massively expensive. We had the first print head go, which is like a $735 expense. And Deanna's experience with these machines is once one goes, the others go, and there's 4 more that are in the offing that would potentially have to be replaced in the short run. That puts the the cost of repair to be almost equal to the price of purchase of a new vehicle, of a new unit. So that's why we're recommending to proceed with a new unit, and we're doing the purchase as opposed to a lease to be consistent with our past practice. We'll monitor how we do on this purchase and the life that we experience, and then make a decision as to whether that was a smart move or not, and make a decision as to the lease or continuing purchases in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I got a motion by Councilmember Smiley and seconded by Councilmember Sharp to approve the authorization to waive the bid process and purchase a Canon ImageProGraph TM-305 from Applied Imaging of Novi, Michigan at the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network pricing of $3,695, plus the remaining lease buyout on the current machine of $636.01, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract on behalf of the city. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 6, recommendation to waive the bid process and award the electrical repair work of the 4 decorative street lights along Pontiac Trail to J. Rank Electric Incorporated of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, in the amount of $25,329, and approve the sole source bid for the 4 replacement decorative street lights to Carrier and Gable Incorporated of Farmington Hills, Michigan, in the amount of $31,693, and approve the associated budget amendment.
So if I may on this.
Yep, go ahead.
We are recommending to waive the bid process and proceed with this on a quote basis for primarily 2 reasons. It's going to be subject to an insurance process claim, so we will be reimbursed for our costs on this ultimately. We are going through the quote process as opposed to a full bid process because there was a little bit of a snafu. At first, we were pursuing the replacement of the decorative streetlights as a direct insurance claim. In other words, they're going to be purchased through the insurance claim process, but once we checked into the timing on that, it was going to be up to a 6-month period where we would be without the lights in addition to what we already have so far. So we decided to use our existing units that are in storage essentially for just this sort of thing, and use the insurance process to replace those units as opposed to the ones on the street.
Just for informational purposes, this is in response to the accident that we had down in August where the young lady went through and took out all the street lamps and the light posts, and this is what we're dealing with right now.
So at first we were going to pursue it as a direct insurance replacement, but because of the timing, we decided that we would instead use units from our inventory that we'll replace through the insurance claim. And that left us, after we were determined that was going to slow us down by that period of time, we lost some time and decided that it would be appropriate to waive the bid process so that we get the lights back up more quickly and improve the safety of the area at night, essentially is really the purpose for why we're waiving the bid process. And again, we will be reimbursed for both the cost of this work as well as the cost of the lights through the insurance claim process.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're taking action on this because it is a safety issue down there. It is very dark at night. Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Yeah, I'm also in support of it because I walked after the Christmas lights went dark. It can be pretty dark through there. The question I had in terms of process here, so the MMRMA will cover the cost of the replacements right now, right? But when whatever criminal proceedings, whatever with the person that caused the accident, will their insurance then reimburse MMRMA, or how does that work?
Yeah, they'll be pursuing subrogation claims through MMRMA ultimately with the person that caused the
Okay, so this will speed it up, plus we still, one last question now, how many will we have left in stock, if you will? Once?
Yeah, we will have one left in stock.
We'll have one left in stock in case another accident occurs? Okay.
Yeah, we have.
And 6 months is a good period on that, Tim? Was the time period that was going to take on the replacement?
Yes.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Just wanted to verify. Thank you.
Councilmember Behrman.
That was actually my question. The other light post that got the top taken off of it?
Yes.
Do we have an extra top for that one?
Yep, that's also included. We'll still have one.
Okay.
I didn't want to bring that one up, but yes.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That last part you said, Mr. Brown, that just 6 months down the road, we'll restock our backup lamps? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
We'll go back to having 5 available replacement lamps once we get the insurance claim fully processed.
Yeah, we're just we're floating the expense.
And I shouldn't say the
because we don't want to
insurance
wait to get that
Right.
fixed. 'cause
I shouldn't say the insurance claim isn't slowing us down. It's the production time on the pieces that is going to slow us down. Actually, MMRMA is very
I
expedient in
see.
processing their claim.
Getting those replacements.
Right, it's getting them produced and delivered is what's taking the time.
Oh, so it's great that we've got them here to
Correct.
put in place, so we can wait to have the replacement. Yeah, perfect.
Kudos to the people who made the decision to have some extra decorative sign lamps sitting around.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Just this kind of an emergency. So-
It wasn't us, but it was me. I don't think
I'm sure.
I don't think I was here for that.
Take credit on it. Take credit for it.
Thank you.
I can tell you it wasn't me.
Councilmember Sharp.
More of a comment, Mr. Mayor, thank you, but at $8,000 each, do we really need 5 in storage? Maybe we just give
In
the
this
insurance
case, we
companies.
did.
Yeah. I know, so, it was yeah, kind of a silly question, I suppose.
I mean, there's the possibility that we won't, obviously. So-
Yeah, so I guess we don't really need the cash right now, but you know, something to consider in the future.
Right.
We sell them to the insurance company for $5,000 each, and we have money in the bank.
I don't think there'll be much market for it. I mean, you know, these things are pretty specialized. You ordered them at a set
No,
rate.
my point is, we just
Right. I
discount them to.
I understand. I understand where you're
Settlement
coming from. I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure I said that, so.
I just wanted to put that out there. The other one, are we really waiving the bid process, or is it just for the lamps themselves? The electrical work had bids.
I'll let Tim answer it, so he's been closer to this process.
Yeah, so our typical bid process is to go out to bid and bring it to the final column, take it to Michigan Network, Trade Network, and put it out on the internet. We chose to select 3 different electrical contractors and get pricing. Incidentally, the contractor that did have it was the original contractor that installed all of these, to my knowledge. So they had a better price because they knew what they were getting into. And we don't feel that we'll get any better benefit to taking it out and putting it on the internet and taking that extra month to do that. So that's.
So just to
We've got a
summarize that
bid
a little bit more.
process, but it's just not the bid process we typically.
It was a quote process as opposed to a full-scale advertised bid process. That's why we have to waive that process.
Thank you.
And the other one is a sole source. They're the only ones that have these. They have the forms. They got to dust them off outside, you know, wherever they keep them, and then forge those in aluminum. So that's the process.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? All right. I got a motion by Councilmember Smiley and seconded by Councilmember Grenlund Fox to approve and waive the bid process and award the electrical repair work of the 4 decorative street lights along Pontiac Trail to J. Rank Electric Incorporated of Mount Pleasant, Michigan in the amount of $25,329 and approve the sole source bid for the 4 replacement decorative street lights to Carrier and Gable Incorporated of Farmington Hills, Michigan in the amount of $31,693 and approve the associated budget amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 7 is a recommendation to approve the resolution revising the construction permit fee schedule. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any questions? Mr. Pike is here today. He'll give us a brief explanation of what's going on here.
My name's Kenneth Pike, I'm your building official. As of January 1, the state has added low voltage to the requirements of the electrical inspections. There will be fire stop issues that would be addressed at that time, and I think that's really what drives the low voltage issue. It's not a safety concern unless there's a fire, obviously. So what we have in the field is people poke holes through walls. It could be rated fire assemblies. They poke holes, run their data cables through, and then they don't do nothing. They just leave the hole open. That becomes an issue if you ever have a fire. And I think that's what's driving this. So the state has made recommendations to inspect. In fact, if you go to the state website and pull up their permits, our fees are mirrored 100% to theirs. We're not trying to change anything. We're just adapting taking on what the state does.
Anybody have any questions?
And it's just the one section of this
Yeah,
that's
there's
being
like
modified?
3 line items on that, if you have a sample in front of you, I don't know if you do.
Just those 3 highlighted. Yep.
And it basically goes along with, it's similar to a fire alarm system, where it would be low voltage, and if you look in the fire alarm area, there's line items for pull stations, and it falls under the same type of work. It's not like a high voltage thing where there could be a fire with a wire, other than the insulation or something, but that would all, it's more about penetrations through floor assemblies, wall assemblies. In a house, I was asked a question earlier if we would do this with a house. If you were in a house, like a Robertson house, and you were doing an electrical inspection, low voltage comes up through the floor as a thermostat wire, a telephone if people are still living back 20 years ago. Anything else that would be low voltage that would be installed. You know, some people put sound systems in their houses when they're building. That would all be inspected. How that's usually done now is that's done after the rough inspections are done. So we don't get a chance to look at it. They insulate and board and it's covered up, it's gone. So by putting this in the inspection process, you would be looking for the fire stop penetration, because it would all have to be installed with all the rest of the electrical work.
Councilmember Gatchel.
Thank you. Being that you brought up like sound systems, does that apply to homeowners that install afterwards if they put it in surround, or?
Technically, if somebody was putting in an alarm system, I had an alarm system company call me just recently and was asking me if we're set up to do this yet. Unfortunately, I'm not, because we haven't approved our fee schedule. Yes, it could be.
Okay, so I guess if that's something that we're getting into, it might be good to put some sort of communication or notice out to homeowners as they're just doing remodeling or upgrades to their house, so they're aware, so there's no issues. Hopefully there won't be any.
I think you could put an announcement on the webpage for the city in the construction area that this is something new we're starting. And of course, you know, it's going to take a little learning curve. Like I said, I have already had one data company contact me. The more it's educating people, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get it to go and get it up to speed.
The mayor, I had a question for him.
Are you allowed?
Yeah. So I didn't realize, when I looked earlier, I didn't see Ken in the audience, so can you answer the Spring Hill Suites question for Councilmember
Yeah,
Brandon?
I should have stood up at that point, I'm sorry. But the Spring Hill Suites is at, you can see that from 96 overpass, and I've seen the RTUs, the rooftop units, from the overpass. Is that where you're seeing them from?
Just when you're driving down the street, period, is specifically that back one. There doesn't appear to be any screen for it.
They are supposed to be screened, but I believe there's a distance from the building that we have to maintain to screen it, because the farther away or the higher you would get. Like when you're on the overpass, you see all the RTUs on Menards and some of the other buildings. There are requirements for rooftop units to be screened, and that would definitely have to be screened properly. But
The ones in the front are screened.
They have parapet walls on that building that should cover that. That's why I asked if you're seeing them from an elevation.
It's just that back,
Because
it's
if
just
you're-
that back one that doesn't appear to be screened at all.
We can always go back to them and ask them to look at screening it. It's not beyond, it's something that was missed. It's not necessarily the perfect way to do it, but it does happen.
So we can take a look at it.
Yeah, we can take a look at it. I would like to see, I've seen them from the overpass, and you can see quite a few of them, but the overpass is also 30 feet off the ground.
We'll check on the visibility from Wixom and proceed accordingly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right then. All right. I've got a motion by Deputy Mayor Resnick and supported by Councilmember Gatzel to approve the recommendation of the resolution revising the construction permit fee schedule. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business number 8 has been pulled, so it brings us up to the second call to the public. Second call to the public, the rules are the same as the first call to the public, but you can speak about whatever's on your mind. Do we have anybody?
Russ Meredith, I live at 378 Fletcher. I just wanted to thank the council, the administration, DPW for getting the windows boarded up at the house over there. They were a safety hazard, and I know it's coming down, which I also appreciate, but that glass there was just an accident waiting to happen. So thank you all very much. And Tim, thank you and the guys. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Smith, 1692 Norton Creek. With the Wixom Firefighters Union, I just wanted to say thank you guys, really from the bottom of my heart as a homeowner who has my family here in the city, not just as somebody who's a firefighter. We owe it to our community to make sure this community is protected 24 hours a day by a staff firefighter. And I think this is the first step that we're going to get to that point. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedule to talk about budget stuff early in the process. I think it's just a great thing, and I just want to thank you guys. So thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close the second call to the public. City manager's comments.
So I had a pretty short city manager update. It's got information on work anniversaries there for our staff. Congratulations to everybody celebrating from 1 to 25 years of service. And I do know that at least 2 of them are present, and they kind of represent the spectrum pretty well. We have Anna Kulis Rosenthal in the city manager's office, who's celebrating 1 year on the job, so congratulations to Anna. And then we have Ron Moore, who's celebrating a few more years of service in February at 25 years, our public safety director. So congratulations to both of them and everybody for celebrating their work anniversaries there this evening. And then the other item was at the clerk's office regarding presidential primary absentee ballots being mailed out to voters. Little wrinkle this time around. I can let Kathy Buck tell you all about it if necessary, but I'll try to cover it pretty quickly. Primary election is going to require that voters select one ballot style, either Democrat, Republican, or ballot proposal only this time around, which is a wrinkle that's different from the past. So that's something that she and her colleague, Crystal Opalco, our deputy clerk, are dealing with as people are asking questions about that. The other item of information on that is the ballot proposal item is the renewal of the Oakland County Art Institute Authority millage, which is confusing in that that's really for the Detroit Institute of Arts. Am I correct? Right. It's just we had to have a county-based Art Institute Authority established to administer the millage, if you will, for Oakland County, but it's the DIA millage. So that's just a couple pieces of information. There's a bunch of things in our dates to remember for people to pay attention to, all kinds of great events coming up. If you have any questions on anything, I'll do my best to answer or get the answer in the future for you. And that's all I have.
Very good. Council comments. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All I want to just do is add a thank you to the appointees for donating, contributing your time and talents to the city. That's wonderful. And congratulations again to the Eagle Scouts. That's a very fine achievement. Something you should be very proud of, boys. Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to welcome Cheryl Tacey and Mark Lotta to the Planning Commission, which I just resigned from. It's a great service and really gets you involved in the city, and outside the council is one of the few places where you really know what's going on, I think, all around the city. So welcome. And thank you to Fred Alexander for joining the ZBA, and Ray Cozino. Councilmember Berman mentioned Joe Bartz being on both, and Ray Cozino has a similar background and knowledge. He's going to be a real asset to the city. So I appreciate Ray being on both of those. I think that's a good thing. And I wanted to congratulate Eagle Scouts Adam and Ryan for your achievement. I was only Weeblo, and I can certainly appreciate what it means to go all the way through Eagle Scouts. So congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome. Councilmember Gremlin Fox.
I hate to repeat everybody, but I'm going to anyway. Way to go, Eagle Scouts, that's awesome. I know a little bit of how much work you put into that, and that's just great. You should be really proud of yourself. And then also thank you to Ms. Tacey, Mr. Latta, Mr. Cousineau, and Mr. Alexander. Thank you for stepping up. And then congratulations to all those celebrating anniversaries.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Gatchel.
Thank you. I likewise share my congratulations and thanks to those that have joined the different boards and commissions of the city, and to the Eagle Scouts as well. And it came to mind, I'm not sure if anyone's discussed the Munchoff House coming down yet with their neighbors to the east, but it might be good to send them a little letter once we know exactly when that work will begin, so they don't wake up to a surprise. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Berman.
Well, again, congratulations to Adam and Ryan. I myself am an Eagle Scout, and I know how much work you guys went through. It really is a good accomplishment and something you should be proud of. Thank you very much to the DPW for boarding up that White House. I appreciate that. Sorry for being a thorn in your side and asking for that to be done. And lastly, last Friday night, I went to bed and left my garage door open. And I woke up to the morning to my garage door being closed, and a little nice note from Officer Hess that he was driving through my neighborhood at night and saw that I left my garage door open, and he closed it for me and left me a little note. So it's nice that we have a police department that takes the extra step and does that. I think that we should all be proud of that.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Adam and Ryan, first of all, I know both Steve and Bob have heard me say this many, many times up here on the dais, but you've attained the highest rank in scouting. I myself was a Life Scout, only a couple merit badges shy. Never did my service project. Got a little bit old for it, and attained the age of 18 before I achieved it. But as an old guy and a hiring manager or employer for the last 40 years, I still look at that on resumes, and it gets a much higher rank for candidates that I look at when I'm making a hiring decision. So congratulations to you both. It'll stay with you for life, so that's good. Thank you again, Cheryl Tacey, Mark Latta, and Mr. Alexander for stepping up and serving. I know that, Cheryl with her past background, and she's the ultimate planner, so I think she'll do just great getting back into it. And Mark, welcome aboard. Thank you for volunteering. I know you're a pillar in the community and be welcomed, so thank you.
Thanks. And I'm just going to echo everybody else's comments. I want to thank Mark Latta, Cheryl Tacey, Fred Alexander, and Ray Cousineau for stepping up and accepting their appointments on their various committees and commissions. Our city would be lost without those cities, our commissions, and we really appreciate everything that they do. I want to congratulate everybody with their on their work anniversaries. 25 years we've put up with you, Ron?
Yes, sir.
That's good. And then congratulations to Eagle Scouts, Adam and Ryan. Congratulations and thank you for choosing Wixom to do your project, so we appreciate it. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion. Meeting's adjourned.